Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you, as always, on a Monday mid-morning, at least mid-morning in my time. And as always, joined by Andrew Combo Sal to discuss all the plays. We had 8 games over the weekend, all game ones to discuss. Lots of things to happen. But Combo, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I had a recording earlier with Jason Timpf, and right after the recording, I caught a crazy cramp.
Oh, well, where?
In my hamstring.
A cramp in your hamstring? That's really
I was crawling on the floor.
Oh wow.
I ran the hill this morning, but I do that every Monday for the most part. I don't know if that had something to do with it. Maybe I didn't drink enough water, but I had some water and now I'm okay. So I was on the injured list, but I was probable, and here I am.
Are you gonna play hurt? Well, make sure you eat a banana or two, get some salt, and then stop punishing yourself so much, my man.
No, we got to punish ourselves to make ourselves better. A little bit of discomfort in the present can make us better in the future.
Well, as you may know, I go to the gym now every day at around 6:15 in the morning, and I have been really being able to push the treadmill. And on Friday, I ran faster, longer, all the whole thing, and then my calf almost blew out. It felt
cramp.
Well, I think I just overuse. It happened to me like a month ago as well, and I just need a couple of days for it to not push it, and then. But I got to stretch it. I got to get my ankle mobility going again. I'm sure I'm just sort of overusing the right side only, which is indicative of probably other things going on in my chain that I got to fix. But nonetheless, here I am.
Here you are. A lot of great playoff basketball going on. Can I say one thing about this Knicks series real quick?
Yeah.
Joel Embiid is done. He's finished. His knee is done. If you watch, I know, but his knee buckled twice in a short amount of time since he's been back, and I feel like it's not even about analyzing how he's moving. It's just that it's going to happen again. I've had my knee issues. I'm not saying we have the same knee issues. I'm not saying I know exactly what's going on, but it does look like there's a lack of stability, and no matter how well he's playing, I just don't think it's going to last, and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's just a pattern. Unfortunately, he can't seem to get healthy and stay healthy in the playoffs, and it kills his teams every time he plays, every year. And that's really unfortunate because you want to be able to see, him at full strength. Obviously, the Sixers have, it's not like it's a super team that you can lose one guy like that and still play. Without him, they are. I guess they could. Well, they barely made the playoffs without him. That's sort of where they would be. But if he wasn't there for the first half of the year, they probably don't make the playoffs even with that team.
Yeah, and he's always injured, like the face stuff, the knee stuff, the foot stuff. His career started with an injury, and it seems like that's part of the reason why he probably will play throughout this, because they probably got to a point like this guy's going to be injured. So we might as well just have him play. If we wait it out, he'll just be injured in some other way moving forward. So we're a lot better with him. But I do think it could be of some risk to his future, and he could do further damage at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question they're going to have to answer. And he probably has more pressure than anybody else to actually play, which is why he's playing now, I would imagine. I bet you the way he feels, he would have been like, I like what they're doing with Giannis. Giannis can afford to miss a couple games, and Milwaukee could probably be fine in this series, at least until he comes back. But they couldn't afford that in this one. As always, don't forget, if you want to ask a question and have it answered, we can put it on the screen. And the best way to do that would be to do the super chat way on YouTube. But and by the way, I know it's too late for you on Saturday. I did a live show after the games on Saturday, and it was a rollicking good time. So maybe we can get you to stay up a little bit. But I don't know, man. It was probably, let's say it was probably like 1 in the morning for you. I think by that point.
Yeah, we got to bring in a big sponsor for that.
Okay. No, we'll look at that. Anybody watching who's a sponsor, let us know. We get Combo on the live, post game shows. What's up, Martin? Good to see you in Euro Cupper out there. Let's see here, but and then we have Sabashito. All right, good to see you. So we got a lot of people in there, but let us know you're out there in the chats, and if you want a question, as always, the super chat's the way to go. Let's get into some of the games, because Saturday I pretty much sat on the couch and watched as much as I possibly could have, and my eyes were bleeding, but I think I took in what I needed to take in. Cavaliers Magic. Did you get a chance to peep a little bit at that one?
I did. The Orlando Magic's offense concerns me because there was a little bit of record scratching going on. There wasn't a willingness to shoot going on. Paulo is probably not making great reads at this point, and he's a young player, so that's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think this team. I don't think I'm overreacting. I could be because they lost game one. You know, it could be an overreaction. I think they played great defense all year. I think Mosley has done a great job. I love their two best players, but from an offensive perspective, I don't feel like they have enough shooting to make a deep playoff push.
I would agree with that. I mean, I think that they're young. They don't have any experience. This is all new. So they're going to be nervous, right? That's sort of what it felt like. So in my mind, you could chalk it up to, okay, first game jitters. I don't know what this is all about. They're on the road. It's tough. All that stuff. Great. Banchero, for a little bit of that game, I was like, maybe I shouldn't be so high on him. Like, I was a little bit worried about that, but he did come through later and got a little bit more aggressive and showed why we've both been really high on him as a potential. I mean, I don't know if he's going to get to the MVP level, but certainly he's got a very varied skill set. But the biggest thing I took away, and I think I talked about this on Saturday night as well. If you heard this, was there are probably some players on the Magic roster that they could just move away from. They've pretty much solidified. I think obviously Banchero and Wagner, actually both Wagners. I like Mo. I like how he's competing. He could be your ninth guy, on a decent team. But I think that I'm wondering if Suggs is the guy they need to continue to invest in or not.
Well, defensively, he makes a lot of sense. It fits their identity, and he has been shooting it better. I think it's a tough decision because all those guys are pretty good, but you're right. I mean, it's not going to cut it for if you want to win a championship at this point. So I think you definitely have to bring in shooting. I don't know if one shooter changes everything because there's not enough aggregate shooting on this team as well. I think they really all do need to improve on shooting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Shooting is going to really help them because Banchero needs spacing. He needs guys who are going to snipe around him, at least two guys at any one time. They struggle to find lineups that can do that. Cole Anthony, listen, I don't think he's a guy that's,
six man. What, you don't think six man?
I don't think he could be a six man on a really good team. I think he's okay. I think that, Fultz, maybe I was happy to see Fultz kind of settle in and figure some things out a little bit, but I don't know. Those are not the guys in my mind. Those are the guys that get them where they are now and along the way, but they're going to need to upgrade that position across the board.
Yeah, I think so. Suggs shooting has been a little bit better, and I think Fultz and Suggs are good players. I just don't know if they're great together because of the shooting, right? Like maybe if you put one of them alongside like a really great shooter. I mean, Klay Thompson has been linked to this team. So if you put a Fultz and Klay together, that looks really nice, right? But just maybe, or even a Suggs and Klay together, that looks really nice. But together, I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I got into a little bit of hot water on Saturday. I don't know if you saw on Twitter.
You're always getting in hot water, Coach.
Yeah, well, because Twitter is now it really is as horrible as you can imagine on all fronts at every subject. It really is bad. And the people, the way they behave, it wasn't always like this, unfortunately. But I basically was watching, and I was kind of getting frustrated watching this game because it was almost like a good regular season game because I had said it's weird watching a playoff game without a top 15 player on the floor. And I chose 15, I thought about it before I just sent out a tweet because I'm like, okay, where is Donovan Mitchell on this list? And I had, Chris came on the show on Saturday. He was around. We talked about it for a little bit and had a good discussion about it. But, 15th is a little bit of a stretch for Donovan Mitchell. If you put him at 15th in the league, then that means like Zion has to be below him. That means Anthony Edwards would have to be below him.
No, why?
Because look at the list. Like if you want to put Mitchell at 15th, that means that, those guys would be 16, 17, whatever below that.
I mean, Anthony Edwards is easily top 10, but I do see what you're saying. Like Seth Partnow talks about this a lot. Like there's like 15 top 5 players every year because like you look at that one single player, like, yeah, he's top 5. But then if you actually go through a list, it's like,
yeah,
that many people in the top 5.
Yeah. And so you can put him at highest 15th, Donovan Mitchell. So, all right. So I was off by 1, but maybe. But the funny thing was it felt like Anthony Edwards might have seen that tweet and seen the lists because what he did in his game 1 certainly was an exclamation point in a way that told me like, okay, he's a different level. I think he's a different level than what Donovan Mitchell is. Don't you?
Yeah.
Now by the way, you have to put Kyrie Irving below Donovan Mitchell as well. I don't know if you want to do that.
Wait. Below as a basketball player or below for
in the list of top players in the league, and you put Donovan Mitchell at 15th, and you put everybody else in front who, all the usual suspects. Kyrie then would have to be below Donovan Mitchell, and what's lower than him in the number.
I think Kyrie is better, but when I was watching Donovan Mitchell before the injury in the beginning of the season, he was like really looking like an MVP. I know it's a long time ago and people don't like remember that long ago, but man, he was cooking in the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
and they went through long winning streaks.
Yeah, and so by the way, top 15 means like you're all NBA, right? You're one of the of the three teams. He's not eligible for that anyway because he didn't play enough games. But I wasn't really even factoring that in. I'll let it sort of be with his 55-game resume this year. But this year is different. We can't let him rest on his laurels and remember Donovan Mitchell at his height where he was leading a Utah Jazz to the heights of the Western Conference in the regular season. Well, it's a different team, different role a little bit, I suppose. But it's a tough question. So, but when you watch both teams play, like they're running their offense. So versus when you're watching the other teams that have like severe gravity from certain players, they're like there's X's and O's going on, or there's more strategy going on. They're trying to bend the defense and force doubles and all that kind of stuff. This wasn't like that. This was sort of a nice, they were moving the ball well and they were running offense, which is I think the Pelicans could benefit from looking at that a little bit more than what they did down the stretch last night. But but it was just weird. It's just that I didn't even say it was bad. I just wanted to say it was just weird, notable when you watch the other teams that do have those top guys. It's a different game, you know what I mean, at that level. And it just struck me. But I don't mind the conversation. It was a pretty good conversation, but it's just the belligerence of people who are obviously Donovan Mitchell fans who, don't want to engage in the conversation. They just want to, throw, vile insults all over the place.
Okay. So I've learned this, that every team fan base overrates their star, no matter how good they are.
Yeah. And they don't want to hear anything short of highlight, lauding.
And on top of that, the small markets have a chip on their shoulder and feel like their star is being overlooked.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. All of that really great encapsulation of that. And then certain markets have probably bigger chips, but then those chips are getting passed around, man. It used to be like, oh, that's a nice, market. They're nice. They're happy to get exposure or whatever. Not anymore. Like everyone is demanding, I said a tweet about one player and that somehow is slander against another player. You know what I mean? It's really getting toxic and also like juvenile in some respects as well. But I actually engage and try and help people. And sometimes I even try and help them understand that like what they're doing and how they're saying it is just the wrong way to go about this. And I've even had to say this, you probably have seen these replies, maybe not, where I'm like, show this interaction that we just had back and forth to somebody else that you trust. And you have them give their 2 cents into how they felt like that you interacted or how this went. And then, and they usually go away. I never hear back from them. But I suspect that if they did have somebody that had some rational thought process, they look at it and be like, yeah, you're being really belligerent. You're being really rude. You're being all these different things. He's just trying to help you understand something. I think that's what would happen because that's how I do it. That's what I'm trying to do. But we have some super chats. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. This is where the show gets, the rails get a little bit wobbly because we have an agenda, but we got people who want to ask questions and we got to do that. So we got a best friend of the breakdown. Andrew Zhu is always here with us. Thank you so much, Andrew. And he says, Pels can win it all with a true floor general point guard. Offense is a mess. Also, will Team USA be vulnerable to Canada and Serbia? So, listen, CJ has been able as a combo guard to sort of run offense, but I agree. I think that there was a lack of, it's sort of a coaching thing too. Not to give this guy love, but the screaming guy, right? The screaming guy who's making all these videos. You haven't seen him yet?
Maybe.
He's doing like, sort of what I would do, but like the exact opposite where he's just screaming like, why are these people doing these things? He's outraged. You haven't seen this?
No.
Anyway, you'll find it. It'll be on your timeline. It's soon enough. But the worst part about it is that he's not really accurate. And some people think it is a whole bit that he's doing. But I don't know. I kind of feel like he probably believes what he's trying to say that the guys should be doing when they shouldn't be doing. But the point was, I was doing this a little bit down the stretch, watching the Pelicans and screaming at the screen, stop passing it to Larry Nance in the roll. So, I mean, that said, Nance did dunk the ball once, but then got a dunk blocked and then caught it and got stuck in the middle, and then the whole thing broke down. So, but that might not necessarily be like CJ not being able to do it. I almost feel like it's like Willie Green needs to, he needs to be a little bit better communication, making sure they do what they need to do, and then they also need just probably more experience, right? You're talking about Trey Murphy, the third is young. Herb Jones is young. Who else is young that's out there?
Alvarado should be their point guard. I would also say a dirty little secret about this is Zion might be their best passer.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, the whole thing is not fair, right? They went down to the wire. They had OKC. And listen, I'm not going to lie. I love the underdog. So when I see an 8th seed start to go at it and handing it to the number 1, like I'm going to get excited for that 8th seed. And, if they had Zion combo, I'm not sure. I don't know if you caught the game. It was late for you, but if they had Zion, I mean, that game really isn't close. And by the way, SGA hits the shot on the and one. And, of course, I got in hot water because the regular angle, it looked like CJ just sort of swiped down and didn't get anything. But the broadcast I had did not show the replay from straight down where you could see he hits the wrist. So it ended up being a good call and one. It was a crucial call with 30 seconds to go. But like before that, he threw the ball away and hit and bricked the 3. That was just a really bad shot selection. So SGA was about to be a bad goat, a goat for that loss, and somehow they were able to pull it out. Probably because they were at home, and obviously because without Zion, they're missing just a guy who would have just really, even if Zion didn't play well, he would have had 15, 16 points and garnered fouls on them and all sorts of things. So it's too bad. I know, and I don't think Zion's going to be back for the series either, which is really frustrating.
Yeah, well, if OKC finds a way to win a title, SGA will be the good GOAT of the modern NBA, right? I mean, people will be looking at him like he's the best. He's the best player in the league. The Zion thing is so unfortunate because I was watching that Lakers playing game, and he was really having a moment, looking like the best player on the floor with AD and LeBron.
Yeah, and
then all of a sudden, like he knew he was having a moment when he got injured, and he was just so disappointed. It was just so tough to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, he's looking in better shape, right?
Oh, yeah.
Slimmer and so all the things. And if we could just help him get a jump shot, if he just even a,
I'm not even worried about the jump shot at this point. Just please stay healthy.
Yeah.
Please stay healthy.
So, and anyway, Andrew, to answer your point, I think with Zion, they have a team. Now, the other problem is I know Ingram is kind of still coming back from injury or whatever, but he does not look himself. And he was trying to go at Dort. And we've been talking about Dort for years now. And he's having his moment defensively. He is locking that guy down. And so the answer isn't, I am a good ISO player. I'm taller. I'm just going to go ISO. The answer is set a screen, force a switch, and go at somebody else. Now, that said, when you got Trey Murphy and you got Herb Jones out there, there isn't, CJ is probably the only, oh my God, I flipped it. Sorry. When you have on the other side, when they're going against OKC, it also isn't so easy. They have athletes and it's hard to target, but you can't go at Dort. He's the one guy who's going to take you out of what you want to do.
Yeah, he's a supreme defender. And actually, he's a young player, but one of the veterans on this team, interestingly enough. He feels so young, but with this team, he's one of the older guys, and they need him to be good.
Yeah, and by the way, he's always been really good driving the basket. He blew a bunny that would have almost was another one. Nobody wanted to win this game, and so it went back and forth. The ball was flying all over the place the last minute. I'm thinking I might try and do a quickie today, although I got a lot of things to do in preparation for tonight and tomorrow. But if I can get one out for the last 5 minutes of the game, I will, because it was just a lot of mistakes, a lot of rookie stuff that they need to clean up, and they will. I'm sure. Game 4 will be a lot cleaner, a lot better, a lot more, organized for both teams.
Yeah, Lou Dort is a perfect player in a lot of the ways for the NBA, and often talk about how the 450 best players aren't in the NBA, and some of them are overseas because guys like Lou Dort just fits around other stars so well.
Did he end up? I'm checking his. He's had these moments where he shoots really well from 3 for a long time.
Yeah,
he goes back and forth. But he did finish the year at 39%. So that was huge for him because they were just not guarding him last year, and he needed to have some gravity. So now I have a feeling they probably were still letting him shoot it and making him prove it. But he has, and the shot's good enough for me now where he's facing the floor. So the Thunder are ascendant without question. Maybe they would be nice if they could find one more good player, add one more really good player to that team. But they're on their way without question with what they're doing.
Well, I think they have everything they need. Just they might lack experience, and we'll see if that comes up during the playoffs. That's really their only question in a lot of ways.
I mean, the Giddey thing is a little frustrating to me.
Well, go ahead. This has been almost a 50-40-90 team at times, especially earlier in the season. So if there is a team that Giddey fits with, I mean, it's probably a team with this kind of spacing.
Yeah, I did something about Giddey. There's almost like a cloud over his head, I feel like. I mean, because when you're not guarded like that, there's something about it that you can either take it as a challenge and you're gonna maximize that space and make plays, or
Draymond Rondo, right? They were like,
right, exactly. And so because remember, Giddey is a really great passer, but he doesn't really have opportunities, it feels like, at this point to do that. I was watching the game yesterday, so there's something there that I would like to figure out, or them to figure out a little bit better way to keep him more engaged in that position, or just find a 3-and-D guy that's a shooter, that's a sniper out there that could really help him.
Yeah, I mean, so if you find that 3-and-D guy, you might lose some of the aggregate playmaking, right? Because Josh Giddey is just like a really good basketball player. You're saying you'd rather have a 3-and-D guy that might not make plays as well as Josh Giddey? Or you rather just have a guy
making the plays anymore. Like, that's the thing. Like, I want to see more of those plays now in the last half of the season. I just feel like whatever he got sort of it looks to me, and maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm missing plays. I got to go through the game again then, but it looks to me like he is, just sort of spotting up in the corners and just sort of, being a real secondary piece of their offense, at least in the playoffs. And then, he didn't sniff the floor down the stretch, right? As far as now I'm looking for my brain.
Chet was really impressive in that game. The stat line wasn't crazy, but just him making the right play over and over again. He has such great feel for the game, and he has a killer mentality, super aggressive, super tough. Some people look at him and they're like, oh, they see this skinny, like kind of goofy looking guy, but man, he plays hard, and man, he plays smart.
Yeah, and Andrew mentioned, by the way, on the I just see the comment real quick. We have some more super chats to get to, but Gary Harris on the back on the Magic is supposed to be that shooter too, and I'm not sure that's the answer either. As we're talking about looking for shooters, they just have some work to do on that end. All right, Euro Gupper, thank you so much, Euro Gupper. Great to see you and throwing the Euros our way. Really, really generous. Thanks.
Thank you.
The Thunder were rested for about a week. Game 1 woke them up. Okay, so that's always happens, right? You're off for a little while. You get a little bit off rhythm, and then it takes a while. So I hear you, but they were still not good enough down the stretch for my tastes. They will get more savage in game 2 and onwards. I promise you that. Okay, well, it's great to see that the Thunder has some fans out over the pond, in a small market team. So, okay, I would listen, their coach is great. They're going to sit down with that film and go through some things. Shea better not play that way down the stretch again. That was not good, really good showing from him. And so let's see what Euro Gupper. Thank you so much again. Another comment Euro has is Shea is still overlooked. The media, I guess.
Oh, he's calling you out.
Still underestimate him. Now, how can you say they underestimate him? I just made a freaking video that said he could be the MVP or should be the MVP. Okay, so don't throw that at me. I'm the guy who's out there saying this guy's got a great game. Now, the last 5 minutes were are not MVP level, but he I imagine he won't play that way again. But let me finish this comment. His game is near complete, elite offense and elite defense. MJ, Kobe, D Wade, SGA, Kawhi. Yeah, I mean, is elite defense. Yeah, okay. I mean, listen, he's long, he's engaged on the defensive end, and he can make plays. Yeah, did he lead the league in steals? I think he did, right?
I don't think so.
You don't? All right, if only we had a way of checking this.
But he's, as you pointed out in your video, he's great at when teams try and target him in the post and getting those steals.
Yes.
But you know what's crazy? The MJ thing has kind of like, you ever like watch a player play? And I mean, obviously we've seen this with Anthony Edwards a little bit, but a player like jumps into your mind for some reason, even they don't play exactly alike, and even though it might seem blasphemous. Like, has that ever happened to you before?
Wait, say it again.
So you watch a player play, and then some other comp jumps into your head, and it doesn't seem exact, and it almost seems blasphemous at the same time. Does that ever happen to you?
No.
Okay, well, that kind of happens with SGA with like Michael Jordan, to be honest. Like I see like the lankiness in the mid range, the
Yeah.
He's strong. I don't know. I see it a little bit though.
Yeah, but SGA. Anthony Edwards. Is that what you're saying? That he's the MJ.
Well, I mean, I can see that too.
Yeah, I mean, the way he moves, everything about it. I mean, he had a turnaround jumper, and I said it in the video I did on that. It was like Kobe and MJ fans better recognize this.
Dare I say he's more athletic than Michael Jordan?
He's not more athletic. I mean, I don't think he could be. The prime Michael Jordan.
Well, he is stronger at the same age.
He is stronger, like bigger, right? Bigger frame.
I think Michael Jordan was the more graceful athlete. I don't know if Michael Jordan was a better athlete, even though it's probably really close. I mean, Michael Jordan is one of the greatest athletes to ever live.
And Michael might have been like a little bit more explosive, although I don't know if you could be more. I mean,
first step. I agree.
Yeah, and he was shooting the way down. But Anthony Edwards does that as well. I mean, it's a little bit different. There's more power, I suppose, with Anthony Edwards. But I don't think it's better athletic ability. But either way, we got some more super chats to get to. So let's get to those. We have Kaius Kajani. Thank you. So generous. Really, really helps us keep this show going. And he goes, they say, would you, if you were Kings management, look to trades either of Fox or Sabonis this summer? Met Canes this year in Sac was a disappointment. Met Canes this year. Who's Canes? Do you see this? Can you see this on the screen?
Okay, let's read this one more time. Would you, if you were the Kings management, look to trade either Fox or Sabonis? So let's handle that first before we get to the second part.
Good idea. It's not a hot take to look at Sabonis and try and figure out if you want a double-double machine whose defense is a little bit problematic and who can't stretch the floor. I don't know. Have they seen enough to feel like it's not going to happen with this team?
Maybe, because I would say this. If you told me before the season the Kings wouldn't make the playoffs, I'd be really surprised. So this really is concerning.
Yeah. I mean, and they were – I'm trying to think if they had any major injuries.
Monk.
Oh, yeah.
Injury.
That really hurt them because Monk is great. Listen, I go back and forth with Sabonis because there's moments when their offense is such a beauty for a coach to watch that, how would you not want to? But I think it probably affects Fox a little bit. If Fox got to do a little bit more of the traditional NBA point guard stuff where he had the ball up more in his hands and he could really go, he's probably one of the best athletes at that position in the league. He can shoot it, he can pass it, he can do everything. So there might be this notion on the margins that Mike Brown will need to adjust to give him more opportunity to be a little bit more dominant. Let me just check. I feel like let me just see his numbers.
I would say though, like his numbers are good. And when I watch him play, he always does really good with Sabonis. I mean, Sabonis is not affecting him negatively. And also I think their chemistry is pretty good together on and off the court. So I don't know. I mean,
his numbers are great. He's almost 27 a game, 5.6 assists.
And the eye test is good when I watch him. He is tough, man.
And he's 37% for three on high volume. So, you're right. I mean, right. Listen, things work. Obviously, defensively is really what they're getting killed with in there because I know they were probably top 5 in offensive rating. Let me make sure I'm talking properly on that one, which again doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen in the playoffs, right? Better defense can come up there, it can deny some of those passes, and then it kind of breaks down. But the Kings were not where I thought they were. Where were they on offense? The Kings were 13th on offensive rating this year, which is a little bit lower than I think they might have been higher earlier in the year. And then defensive rating, they were 14th. So they were above average on both of those things, and still just could not get into the playoff. So it's a problem because we've had how many years have we had Sabonis and Fox now? 3, I think. Yep. And with Mike Brown, so it's tough as a small market because you're not signing free agents who want to come. So it's like we'll have to. They'll probably give him one more year, right? I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, I would say so. Like Keegan Murray can make a leap next year.
Yeah, I love Keegan Murray. I love, and now Monk is a problem because I think he's going to get signed by somebody else. They're going to lose him.
Oh no, that's not good for the Kings.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think Fox was interviewed and he was already talking in the past tense.
He's like the only guy with real on-ball juice outside of Fox that they have. So that'd be a big issue.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure something out because and whoever gets Monk is going to be happy.
Monk is. He's Michael Jordan wasn't a big fan of his, but man, he's dynamic off the bench.
Yeah. It was great to watch him in LA, develop and find his way and then, get more confidence. It was really cool. Euro Gupper is back. Thank you so much. Not just Dort, but also our rookie Cason Wallace, who we also like. The Thunder roster is designed for defense and offense at the cost of rebounding. Yeah, without question. I mean, yeah, they're long. They have a lot of defensive players. So, yeah, for Ingram to try and find an ISO attack, it's like there isn't, Now, here's the thing. If he wants to go at Dort as an ISO, then post him up. Right? Like that's the only place I'd say. But if he wants to try and do in and out dribbles and trying to drive, like Dort's going to get low and cut him off and knock that ball away, as we saw, and then goad him into an offensive foul. I don't know if you saw that play, but you could see the harassment from Dort all game long led to him just sort of lowering his shoulder near the mid post. It was probably a good second quarter foul and not a minute left in the game or whatever that was, but it was a foul and it was out of frustration, and that's what Dort does to you. So they got to figure that out in a hurry, I think, the Pelicans. And if they can, this series could go 7 games. I don't think this is a typical 1-8, obviously, because of Zion not there. But even without Zion, there seems to me some ability for the Pelicans to find some ways to hurt them.
Yeah, I mean, I think OKC is just clearly better than them, even especially without Zion for the Pels. And sometimes when games are close, like we saw this with the Lakers and the Nuggets last year, like the games are close, but the Nuggets were just clearly better at the same time because they're making the plays when they have to,
Yeah, and I want to make it clear, Trey Murphy is an outstanding defender. Because he gets a lot of the highlights, I think, with the deep shooting. He shoots from the logo now, and the ball just rips the net. But I gotta tell you, there's some defensive presence there. I mean, he's got, I think, a 7-foot wingspan as a 6'8" or 6'9" player. Just really, really can make plays, and has been getting in there in the play-in, and then now last night that just he blocked a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander midi pull-up down the stretch, the key part of the game. So he's terrific, and he's putting the ball on the ground. By the way, he's trying to dunk on some people. It probably could be better just to lay it in because he can get up. But
yeah, he was in a dunk contest. I mean, that guy's a super athlete.
Yeah, so you got to watch for him, and as he gets a little bit more polished on with the offensive game, he could be. I'm going to say right now, he can be a top 20 player in the league.
Really?
Yeah, I think he could be a top 20 player,
or maybe he'll just be like a Robert Horry.
No, I think he's already got skills, and I think he'll develop. If he keeps developing the ball handling like I'm seeing, then that Paul George feel could be where a ceiling for him. I'm telling you.
Really?
He's that. I mean, he can play defense, and he's long and a defender like that. He can already shoot the ball really well. So the next level here is just to add, the ability to drive and finish. I mean the ability to get in a bag and get a shot up is the big separating factor with Paul George and a lot of other players of his size archetype, right? Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. I the body type reminds me of that as well. So I don't know. I think that there's something there that he could get into the top 20 for sure, ultimately. And he's already growing into that role very quickly for the Pelicans now, where they can't.
Who you rather have, him or Franz?
Ooh, that's a really interesting question. Who would you rather have?
I think Franz, man, because I think Franz. I could see what you're saying with the ceiling thing. I think Franz is more of a sure thing at this point.
Yeah. Franz has to be older, right? Am I crazy?
Not by much.
Because and by the way, the passing that Franz can do as well,
and the craft in the lane, right? He's not the athlete, but the craft in the lane, the euros, the floaters, the same leg stuff.
Actually, no. Franz is 22, and I don't think Trey Murphy is Trey Murphy might be.
They might be exactly the same.
He's 23. Yeah. So Murphy's actually a little older.
Yeah.
You probably want to go. I mean, but listen, you get a lot more of the defensive things with Murphy that you don't get with Franz. So that's something.
Well, yeah, but Franz isn't weak defender either. He's not. He's definitely not Trey Murphy though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Murphy just has some extra tools that he can use. So I think it will be, not now obviously, but I think it will be a good conversation after next year. I'm ready to get on the branch and get out.
Well, if he could develop and Zion could stay healthy and BI could play well, they'll be tough.
Well, let's get to another super chat. They keep coming in. Thank you guys so much. It's really, I can't tell you how much this means to help us with this. And again, if you're over on the Twitter side, it looks like there's a lot of you guys over there. If you head over to YouTube. Oh, you know what, Combo? I forgot. Did I tell you this? I believe there is a way to only have the Twitter feed for a little while, and then they get everybody to come over to YouTube. So maybe we'll do that because we want to give everyone a chance if they want to do a super chat to do that. So I got to look at that, though, now that we're live.
Next episode.
What's this button do?
We probably should do this more often in the playoffs, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why we got to do it in the post game.
Yeah.
So it says remove. So anybody else use StreamYard? I suppose on the X, I could hit the button for remove at some point, and then everybody on Twitter would have to come over to YouTube to finish. But we'll do that at some point if we're feeling frisky. But Jim Lernst, thank you so much, Jim. Really appreciate it. Very generous of you. Embiid forces the Knicks to play Mitch more, but he can't make basic reads, passes on offense, dreading horrible Tibbs lineups with Mitch and non-shooters. Well, listen, he played really well, right? Down that stretch. Hartenstein gives you obviously a whole other, set of skills on offense, which I think I would prefer because I think he's still pretty good defensively. But what did you think about Mitchell Robinson's performance?
Mitch did a great job. He's always been an elite defender. He's always been underrated because I feel like players that don't space it out to three are just becoming underrated at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But he makes a big difference on defense. I like the way iHeart plays basketball more than I like the way Mitch plays basketball because his ability to play 4-on-3. He's kind of plays like a Draymond type role at times, and you don't, as you mentioned, lose that much on defense. I would also say like Mitch really made things difficult for Embiid, but dealing with my injuries, I know Embiid's thinking about that knee while he's playing against Mitch. So imagine playing against a great defender like Mitch and also worrying about your knee not buckling on every play.
No question that, and whatever Embiid gave he was 50%. And so, and even that was still really good, but it was not really fair. Robinson had 4 blocks. I ever tell you the story about me riding in the elevator at Madison Square Garden with Mitchell Robinson?
I never heard this story.
So I was there. I was in the elevator after the game, and he was in there. And I look up at him. And when you look up at Mitchell Robinson, you're looking up like it's up high. And I said, "So do you?" And he blocked 6 shots in the game I was at too. Whatever. I'm like, "Do you try and block every shot?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's the plan," something like that. I'm like, because I was actually intimidated in the stands watching it. I felt intimidated because of how intimidating he is. Right, every shot that goes up there when he's nearby, it's like you're scared to get it off because he's going to get it. I was like holding my drink to make sure he didn't block the drink out of my hand from my seat. So he is that effective. But again, I'm with you with Hartenstein because he just gives you some more variance. But he got into some foul trouble. And it's a nice luxury to be able to bring in, your relief pitcher and not lose anything defensively, at least. And then, a little bit of verticality with them helps.
Most definitely. Yep. So, I mean, Mitch has been great. He was great yesterday. I think some of that, though, is Embiid's knee and also, iHeart getting into foul trouble, which allowed him to get more opportunity.
Yeah. So it's going to be really hard to kind of really feel out what's going on here because, nobody played amazing. Josh Hart. The thing is, he's not going to hit threes like that.
I'm so I talked about this with Jason earlier. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Like when I'm watching his energy transfer, it looks crazy. And then he knocks them down. It's like he's shooting these knuckleballs, but they're going in.
Yeah.
I feel like he has so much will and heart, like he's willing shots in.
Kind of. Yeah, that's sort of what it is. Yeah. And, and I've been studying it a little bit and the rhythm is off and it wouldn't be that hard. There's a hand placement on the ball could be adjusted probably and explored a little bit. I certainly know he fouls the ball with his eyes on the release. He's one of those guys. In fact, he might actually start looking a little early. I think I have some footage of him. The ball's might still be almost in his hand. He's already looking up at the ball, which again is something like Steve Kerr did. James Harden does. But he had that one where there's a swipe at it and he kind of did not like a double pump, but his knees bent in the air on the way up. And it was like this, there's just no way. And the ball just went right through the net. So, Philly could feel like, he won't do that again. But then again, we just don't know what he's going to do, if he's going to play or whatever. But so it's not, the Knicks shouldn't feel, even if, I guess let's say this, if Embiid tries to play and can somehow grit it out through the series, then you got to give the Sixers a chance that they could still win the series.
I don't think they have a chance at all.
So I think what you're saying is Embiid doesn't have a chance to really to stick it out.
I'd be surprised if he lasts this whole series.
Yeah.
And I hope the best for him. Also, let's say he does stay this whole series, which I think he would. I love Tyrese Maxey. I don't think you can rely on him yet to be your best player or your 1B.
And Maxey is doubtful or something like that. He might not play.
I mean, that's another thing. Like, it's
just hard. And so, how about Tobias Harris? Tobias, we're
not playing well. Not playing well.
I want to see Tobias break out. And then the Mitch with non-shooters. It's really, for me, the lineups. It's Brunson with the non-shooters. That's what frustrates me more than anything, because he would be better if he can get more space. But he's still doing.
They did a good job on him, though. They did a good job.
They harassed him and stuff like that, and he still was able to, make his mark and have an impact on the game, which is good to see. But it was a little bit, it was a little bit rough down that stretch. But again, the opening round, they're feeling each other out. They're kind of getting their feet wet. So I would anticipate the games beyond this being better, just like we thought with the Pelicans and the Thunder. All right, let's get to another. Oh my goodness, super chat. Thank you so much. We have Joe Star 0007. Thank you, Joe. Why do the Lakers suck so bad? They blow leads in the second half like clockwork, or are we seeing why they're a 7th seed for a reason? So, Combo, I talked about this with Chris on Saturday, and let's get your take on this. You are aware that there's a huge free throw disparity that the Lakers have had since that Boston game where LeBron didn't get the call to win the game, right?
You've made me aware of this.
Yes. So, and the disparity is such that it's historic. It's like twice as big as we've ever seen, and I tried doing the videos to explain, look, these are legit calls. The problem is you got to look on the other side of the floor because they're not getting fouls called on them. So here's the thing. Would you say that at any given game, if you have a significant free throw attempt margin than the other team, a much bigger free throw attempt number, that does give you a better chance to win the game, right?
In that regard, yes.
Yeah. Now, we don't know exactly how much of a chance it gives you, right? But there's got to be, that is a benefit, right? You increase your odds of winning a game when you shoot 10, 12, 15 more free throws than the other team. I think no one can argue that. So here's my question. Because they've had such a huge free throw disparity that's beyond anything we've ever seen before, we have to, I think, accept that disparity has helped them win more games. So then what I start to think about is, okay, what if it was called a little bit more normally, and they had the calls were the calls and they didn't have such a big free throw disparity. That would probably mean that last year's 30-something win team doesn't win 30 games. And this year's team wouldn't barely break 40 or something like that, right? They are winning games probably because of this a little bit. So what do you think about that? I mean, can you imagine? I think the reason why I'm saying it this way is because if that's the case, and let's say they won 5 or 6 extra games because of all these free throws, can you imagine a LeBron James and AD team that can't even be 500 in the NBA?
Yeah, I think it speaks to the evolution of the NBA and the age of LeBron a little bit, right? But are you saying that the Lakers get unfair calls, or maybe it's because AD is such a good defender and he could change shots without fouling, and then D'Lo hardly plays any defense at all, so he doesn't foul too much, and then Austin Reeves tries to stay in front, and he's a pretty smart guy on defense. So what is it like? Do you think the refs are giving the Lakers calls, or it's more that the Lakers are just smart defenders and know how to play and know how to draw fouls with their aging duo, who are probably veterans at this point,
Everything you said was right. You have AD and LeBron. They're going to draw fouls. They're around the basket. They go hard. It's they're going to draw fouls. Even if they weren't superstars, they're going to draw fouls. I think, and I've done that where I've analyzed the actual foul calls that they've gotten, and they're all these are legit fouls. They're not making it up. They're not, I couldn't find a whole slew of 50-50 or questionable ones. So what it comes down to is the other team not getting the same kind of calls? And there's probably a very legitimate argument to say, look, here's a foul they're calling for LeBron as he's going to the basket. Now, here's a foul that so-and-so is going to the basket, same contact, whatever, and he does not get the call. That's probably part of this explanation. And is that part of the calculation, because they want to?
Can you say that one more? Can you say that one more time? Say that again.
So basically, it's the call that LeBron and AD will get, which are legitimate calls, whose contact, whatever. On the other side, when the other team gets that same play, they don't get that call that as easily.
Gotcha.
And that's a big, people have been arguing about how it's not consistent. Like we saw a foul called, against CJ on that SGA 3-point play, where when they did see the replay, I think that the Pelicans announcers actually said, it's like, we get it that that's a foul, but like they let so much go all game long. And it's just like the inconsistency as a player will drive you crazy, because that was not a foul for 47 minutes. And all of a sudden in the last 30, they're going to call that. That's tough. But then again, a foul is a foul. They saw it and they didn't see the other ones, and they can't call what they don't see, and they can't call what they're not positive about. So I think, I guess what I'm trying to say is that the job of a referee is the most impossible one of all in the world. Short of like,
you're not gonna go a season or even a game without complaints towards the referee. Maybe we need AIs to ref.
Yeah, that would change the game. But yeah, maybe But I think if you had AIs to ref, then you'd have a foul. You'd have 5 times more fouls called. Right? Can you teach the AI to be like, I saw a foul, but I'm not going to call it?
I mean, AI could learn anything.
I guess so. Oh, really? Okay, you're one of those. Okay.
Why wouldn't it be able to learn everything?
I don't know. It just feels like that's just a recipe, for disaster. Things once you think, it learned everything, then it doesn't. You realize you didn't plan for certain scenarios, and now you don't have a human making a decision that you needed them to. There are some doomsday scenarios with AI that certainly.
I guess I don't fall in the doomsday opinion, but I guess like it's going to be a big part of our future. I fall in that opinion.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of things I think it would help make our lives a lot
Don't you use AI in a lot of different ways now, Coach Nick?
Not really. I mean, I think Siri is like AI, or wouldn't you call that AI?
Yeah, but Siri hasn't been learning that quick. I feel like it's the same Siri.
Siri was way behind. Siri is the beta.
Why doesn't Siri get better? I mean, if Siri was an NBA player, we wouldn't be happy with Siri's development.
Yeah. I don't know how often you yell expletives at Siri, but I will do that.
Yeah, and then when Siri doesn't know something, it's like, okay, I'm going to find this online for you. I could have done that myself, Siri. You're supposed to just give me the answer.
All right. Well, anyway, Andrew is back. Thank you, Andrew Zhu, again for another super chat. Luka was tearing into his teammates. Good, bad. I didn't see that. I was about to watch the game. I was a little bit late getting there, and then it was a blowout so quickly that I was like, Did you see what Luka said?
No, I saw him yelling at the ref, so we got to look into that.
Yeah, I mean, it's never a good look, especially in the playoffs. You want to make sure you keep an emotional equilibrium. It's a long series. Let's keep it together. So it's bad. You don't want to be tearing in your teammates. Now, I'm wondering if he means like post game too, which is even worse, because you had a chance to take a breath and gather your thoughts. But I want to go through the game. I want to see exactly what happened, because it sounded like a debacle, especially in that first quarter. And then they didn't, by the way, you could be down. Let me just see what that,
I want to see James Harden. Imagine James Harden keeps this up through the whole playoffs.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. That's not right. Why did I? Oh, no, they had 8 points in the second quarter. Sorry. Imagine if who keeps it up?
James Harden keeps this up.
Yeah. Well, 28 and 8.
I mean, he was so good in that first half.
Yeah. But then again, it was a blowout. So yeah. All right. Listen, Harden is Harden. We know what he can do, and that's always been the issue: is can he keep it up? And then do they remind me? Does Kawhi, is he out for this playoffs?
No one knows. It's Kawhi.
Yeah. All right. Because that's also disheartening for the Mavericks to not have Kawhi.
When people act like they know what Kawhi is doing, they don't really know, I believe.
Yeah. It's a fickle.
We could look on the internet at what some Clipper insider says Kawhi is coming back. That doesn't mean it's necessarily true.
Ooh, I did total some hostility in there. Are you upset about this?
Maybe. You're a good psychologist.
All right. Well, we got Eurogupper. Thank you, my goodness. By the way, I have no idea. I forgot what what 6 pounds is.
It got to be $8 million.
Yeah, easily. With the right calculator. But thank you so much, Eurogupper. And by the way, it's got to be. Well, it's probably not too late for you.
Thanks, Eurogupper. Though we appreciate you. Yeah.
The question is, and by the way, that is his. Is that a? What is the picture of? Is it a guppy? I don't know, or something.
But he's made some really great insights. This guy's a basketball guy. You could tell.
Here's the other one. The Lakers are bad because LeBron is old and exhausted in the fourth, and their backcourt defense with Reeves and Russell is weak. And by the way, thank you for getting in here on that, because we didn't answer the question of why they blow this. It's right. So, but I think it sort of alluded to what I was saying. With maybe this team really isn't. They won 47 this year, right? And maybe that free throw disparity is boosting that win total. So in reality, the team isn't as good as they were. But and we know that LeBron is old and exhausted and doesn't finish as well as he used to, and AD also looks tired a lot of the time and isn't certainly not playing the defense we'd seen him in the past. So that's part of it. And you're right. Reeves we had hope for, and Russell's a guy you can't really rely on, and they have to rely on him, right? He'll be good for a game and he'll be bad for 2 games. He'll be good for a quarter and he'll be bad for a quarter and a half. And against the good teams with that kind of variability, you don't want that at all from him. And that's too bad. Because, by the way, there are moments we've seen D'Lo look like an all-star and a guy you can win a title with. But in reality, he's just not he's not consistent enough.
Yeah. And I think, you kind of deal with some of the misfortunes of D'Lo's decision-making.
Yeah.
Because there's a chance he could get on fire and make 7 threes.
There's a little J.R. Smith vibe to him, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think he's a little bit better than J.R.
Okay.
I mean J.R., early J.R. with Denver was probably even more talented than D'Lo. Early J.R. athletically was
for sure. But, and by the way, I liked what I see from Prince. I thought he's been playing better than he had all season long, and Rui's been playing nicely. And they brought in Spencer, who's, sort of still trying to figure out how he fits in. But, so there are some pieces, but and then Gabe Vincent gave him a lift. But it's on the fly without a lot of time to gel. That's the other problem they've had with these guys. And they're relying on a lot of stuff. So it's they're not. By the way, it was a relatively entertaining game. It went back and forth with the Lakers and the Suns. I'm sorry, Lakers and the Nuggets. Yeah. But when it comes time to do it, the Nuggets will just take over the game, and that's why they're going to win another title. I think no one can stop them when they need to stop them. So much less, it's certainly not the Lakers. Okay, we got Module Cell. Let's see here. Thank you. Sorry for the delay of getting to you. We got so many of these. Module Cell, and really, really generous. Thank you so much for the super chat. I can't begin to tell you. How will the Golden State Warriors rebound to keeping the dynasty title? I don't know. We had this. I think we had to talk on Saturday as well because
death of a dynasty.
It's over, right?
It's over. But I would say the silver lining is how good Kuminga could be over time, and I think they could retool in some kind of way and make a new iteration of a Warriors team that's pretty good because he's the guy with the highest ceiling. The problem with this is that Steph is still really good, and it's going to be hard to rebuild at this point.
Yes, it will be. I mean, they have assets. They have guys like Kuminga and Moses Moody. Well, Kuminga at least has a lot of value, so they could do something. But I suspect they're going to move on from Wiggins. You can't afford with a guy like Steph and then the part of his career to have a guy like Wiggins who you're kind of waiting for him to get back to where he was. And I don't think he's just going to ever do it. And then there's enough of a question if he's going to do that or not, that they can't give him a whole 3/4 of a season to take off for mental health. Right. They unfortunately you can't risk that. You can't afford to do that with a guy at Steph's age. So that's a problem. So Wiggins probably is gone, and they have to figure out how to kind of replace that. And maybe Kuminga does that. And then, Clay is the other big one. And then maybe even Draymond. Draymond at this point, continues to sort of, the behavior is kind of still bad, right? And still, and maybe not worth it for all the wondrous defensive things he does, for all the great passing and the will that he brings to the team. The emotional disequilibrium, the emotional turmoil, at some point it's just not worth it anymore. And I wonder, I don't know, he doesn't have any value, right? Does Draymond have any trade value?
No, because of the behavior, one, and two, he's just more valuable to the Warriors than anybody else.
Yeah, and he's got the contract. I think they extended him. Let me just check the contract. It's it's just whenever you say that, right? You say, oh, he's got an untradeable contract. Poof, then he gets traded, right? So it's possible, but yeah, I mean he stands to make 24, 25.8, and then 27.6 over the next 3 years. It's a lot of money after that extension. That I think is what they.
I'm trying to see a team that he would fit with in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the problem. They're kind of stuck with him, and I feel like there's probably some grumblings where it's like they would love to be able to find a guy who can just grab some boards and play some and be
the Kings
tumultuous.
The Kings.
Oh, because Mike Brown connection.
Yeah, and they're like a Warrior style of play.
Well, what? How? Like
him and Sabonis. That's not going to work.
Yeah, that doesn't work, right? So no.
I'm trying to think of a team that he could help.
Right. You want like an undersized power forward that could be your best, one of the best defenders of all time,
and could initiate offense, high IQ.
Yeah, but brings so much of that baggage that it's rough. So I don't think he's gonna be able to go anywhere. Now the Clay thing also is like, there's probably some notion of being loyal, but at some point, I just think he's probably done, right? He had his last little hurrah after the two major injuries where they got that title. But you would think that in theory, you'd be progressing, getting better, your wheels get a little stronger, whatever. But that hasn't seemed to be the case. And then his shooting shot selection is really suboptimal. And they feel like the obligation to play him. So
he's still a very capable NBA player, though, right?
Again, that whole it's too inconsistent for a good team.
Okay.
Right. On one night he's going to hit 7 threes, amazing, and then the other night, for three games in a row, won't make one. It's tough.
Well, he's going to figure out how to be more consistent.
Yeah. Well, it's now a couple of years, several years.
Maybe change the scenery could help that.
Maybe. So
a team might bet on that needs shooting.
Yeah. So there's a value there, but so maybe they could find a way to move on, but I don't know. I watched too many Terminator movies. That might be true, but you know what it is. I have my political podcast partner. We've done so many episodes where he talks about AI, and he's probably influenced me now to think a little bit more. I think I was probably more like you, where I'm like, yeah, it's really gonna be great. It's gonna help us make our lives a little easier. But his whole take on it is like probably closer to what might happen with like Terminator or that kind of thing. Maybe not even that. We've seen some AI stuff. I don't even want to get into it. Where they're doing simulations, and when they tell it like militarily, they say, okay, well now you can't attack this base. Well, the original plan was they had to attack the base. So what does the AI do? It starts to attack the tower that was sending the communication to stop attacking the base. That kind of thing. That's not good.
I mean, there's gonna be AI error just like there's human error.
Yeah, well, that's that kind of error could ultimately be. I'm also watching. This game or Fallout. Have the game Fallout? I'm watching the show Fallout, and man,
it just feels like if you think it's doomsday, it's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist type opinion, in my opinion.
I mean, it's more of just like, can you start to conceptualize how far AI can go, and when you do that, you can realize there's a lot of not even like conspiracy. I think there's a lot of possibilities there that are I guess the word is bad. And so
I mean, this conversation gets a lot of engagement. People like talking about it, like where AI will lead us, but it's definitely going to have an impact on our future. One way or another.
It will. All right. So we have another. Thank you, Cliffside. Thank you. Why are Tom Thibodeau teams always good on D? Is he scheming things differently than other teams? Are his teaching methods that much more advanced? Wow. Fascinating. Great conversation. Good question. Now, it's like, why are some coaches better than other coaches, right? Like, that's one thing. Do you have a take on this before I get into it?
I just think that you have to focus on something, right? You can't focus on everything. And it seems like Tibbs has always just focused on the defensive side of the ball. And, this isn't really answering your question, but I did feel at one point that on the offense side of things, like the game was passing him by, but he seems to be doing good right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they have a lot of like still triangle offense concepts in the offense. They've always had that really great dynamic point guard in his offenses that will come out of nowhere. Not like Brunson come out of nowhere, but like, DJ Augustine, I think, was one, and then there's maybe Nate Robinson, and then
Derrick Rose didn't come out of nowhere.
But Derrick Rose, and then there's somebody else I'm forgetting too that was like maybe went to the Nets, who was like CJ Watson.
Yeah, he's been on my pod. Good guy.
Yeah, and so they have these out of that position, but defensively, so he's a big no middle guy. I think even still. And that's really important, especially in the modern game, because when you allow middle penetration, it's when the defense collapses. You get kickouts for threes. That's not good. So, and he just so constantly focuses on it, probably to the detriment of like anyone's psyche. But he, without question, he is a stickler for the defensive details that a lot of coaches are not, and that tends to get you better. The players will be more focused because of that, and whether he feels like he's got to grind on them to do it is one thing that he does. But it definitely works. Deuce McBride had a funny story, right, where they were blowing out the other team. It's the last minute of the game, and they got free for a 3-pointer, and Tibbs started screaming at him for that. They're up by 20 something, right? But the reason was he's like, that is how these things start. It's a blowout. Doesn't really matter. Okay, I'm not going to really close out, whatever. And then the next thing you know, you're not closing out properly in a regular game.
He knows everything's about habits.
Yeah, it's a habit. So all those things, you mix them up together, and he grinds his teams down, but they certainly will focus on defense because.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in college, my coach was like, when we played against bad teams, we would have to do everything perfectly. It was so annoying. Like, you can't hear me?
No, I'm just thinking. I feel like I saw a super chat that we didn't put up here, and I don't know why. You keep talking, and I'll make sure I did this one.
Yeah, but he would make us do like 3 ball reversals when we played against bad teams. It was almost like a practice, and then every little thing mattered so much, even more than when we played the good teams. Right? Mm-hmm. If we were blowing teams out, we would have. It was almost like drilling and practice during the game. It was really annoying, actually.
Yeah, but sometimes you get the results that you get like there, and there are other ways to do it where you don't need to do it that way. But well, let's put this one up. I swear I saw another one. Maybe this was the one I saw, and then as a pop up from Andrew Zoo. Thank you so much, Andrew. How is Team USA going to compete post LeBron, Steph, KD? I guess I was thinking I'd seen another one about Team USA, but maybe I didn't. Post LeBron, Steph, KD, you got Tatum and you got Anthony Edwards, right?
Anthony Edwards, yeah. But who are the good American bigs? Embiid wants to, well, who knows how healthy he'll be. He wants to play with Team USA, right?
Yeah, I think he is, right?
Yeah, he is playing with Team USA, so he's pretty young.
Yeah, I guess Embiid, but he's I can't believe they're going to even let him get close to a court this summer at all. But we'll see. Trace Jackson Davis, like I don't know who's another who's the younger guys.
Derek Lively.
Chet.
Chet.
Yeah, so Chet.
Cooper Flagg is up and coming.
I got to see him against the elite of the elite, but yeah, he's good. Anybody else? And then there's always Brunson, who got dissed for this one.
Kyrie got dissed for this one too.
Kyrie, yeah. So, but he's a little bit he's a little bit long in the tooth at this point. So it's the younger, but the Brunsons are that's the guy on that level, or that
Mikal Bridges.
So so I think we're okay, but again, does a team like that, can they win the
Halliburton?
Yeah, Halliburton, but can you win the gold? Like they didn't win it with that team without all the young guys last summer. So it's not great, Bob. Like there's a when you have the USA versus the rest of the world, there's a huge pool to draw from all these other countries and stuff. So at some point. It might be a problem for the USA to medal.
Yeah, we'll see what develops.
Yep. Let's see here. King Jaffe Joffer, friend of the breakdown. Thank you. It's great to see you. It's so generous for the super chat. Thank you. Not sure why everyone thinks Golden State is cooked. The Big Three era at Spurs didn't win it every year, retooled around their core, and were a threat till the end. Okay, so Manu versus Clay. Manu in 2014. Is he better than Clay is now? Was he better then when Clay is now?
Well,
yes.
I mean, we get to see every bad game Clay plays now, so it's a little bit of an unfair question. I think nostalgic wise, it's always going to seem like that guy that everybody loved back then is better than the current Clay. But yeah, he was
2014 though. Manu was still there.
I mean, Clay did average almost 20 this year.
Did he?
Look it up.
Okay. All right. So there's that, but all right. It just doesn't feel that way to me. And then,
I mean, I like the way Manu plays basketball better than Clay. He's more of an all around. Like I like his game a lot. But
I mean, okay, maybe. I worry about the Draymond. I wonder if the punch really. I wonder if they ever really recovered from the punch mentally. I think.
If he would have been better after the punch and not do all those other like choking people and all kinds of, it would have been fine.
So that's a problem. So that's all. Everything. All that's an issue. But you know what? I kind of like what you're thinking of, and I would like to think that they could kind of retool and whatever. But like if I were Moses Moody, I'd probably be pretty upset. Like they've been developing him, he's been whatever, and then they kind of just continue to ride with guys like Clay, and those minutes, could have gone. Clay shouldn't be playing more than 20 minutes. That's the other thing. I don't think he should play more than 20 minutes, and maybe that's the solution. Is like Clay, we're going to get the best 20 minutes we can out of him every night, and we're going to give Moses 25, and then let him go. There's a version of that, And by the way, Trace Jackson-Davis was a nice revelation for them and could really help. With now he's got a season under his belt. So maybe that there is a way to retool for sure. So we shouldn't say that. So thank you, King Jaffy Jofford. That was a good point.
We've seen the Warriors not play well and then win a championship, and he's right about the Spurs as well. Like you never could count a team like this out.
Well, I would ask people in the chat if they would mind if we went like 10 minutes on the Twitter side and then have everyone come over here. But I believe this chat is going to be only YouTube. And I'm sure everyone on the YouTube side is going to say, yeah, just stay on YouTube. But if you're out there on Twitter and watching this, which I think a lot of you are, let me know if we did it for let's say we gave you like 15 or 20 minutes of the hour show on Twitter. And then at that 20-minute mark said, hey, come on over to YouTube and let's all be there. Let me know if that's going to be a disaster. It might end up being that way, and we'll just continue doing this. We'll see. But either way, great show, Combo. As always, we didn't even get to half the things we were going to talk about, but I thought we got a really good stuff going on this one.
Yeah, we might have to do twice a week during playoff time.
Oh, okay. That might be the answer. So, yeah, well, what day would you want to do it?
Let's talk about that off the air.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll figure it out. But we always the Monday, this time it seems to be a pretty good locked in thing. So don't forget that. Well, that's where we'll be, somewhere around 10 a.m. Pacific, 10:30, usually around 10. So know that one, and then we'll add another one. I'm always game to sneak out for an hour and do some discussions with the combo.
With the combo.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for everybody. The super chats again this is probably our high water mark for us. Really, really helps. Thank you so much. And don't forget, sports fans at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Combo?
Yes, sir.